Today on Context, extreme motherhood. Meet a mom parenting 4 kids on a trip around the world and a Canadian doctor changing lives of expectant mothers in Africa. It's Mother's Day, and at Context, we're going global.
Mother's Day, a time to celebrate the woman who does it all. She wipes your nose, gives great advice, and cheers you on at all your games. Mom, the real-life superwoman. And motherhood, the job that never ends. Today on Context, we're going global to see motherhood in a whole new light. We'll visit with a mom and ER doctor, taking her family around the world on an eye-opening adventure of a lifetime. We'll also talk with Order of Canada recipient Dr. Chamberlain Froese, who's changing the odds of survival for expectant mothers in Africa.
Happy Mother's Day. Being a mom is one of the most important and exhausting jobs around. The work never seems to end. But imagine taking your 4 young children to 18 countries in 4 months. That's what our first guests are doing. Let's meet the meeters, Rose and her family.
My name is Rose. I'm married to an amazing man and mother to 4 amazing kids. Madeline, 9, Mary Grace, 8, Anna, 6, and Jacob, who's 5. I'm also an emergency room doctor in a small town in Ontario, Canada. This year, my husband Rob and I decided that we wanted to do something really great for our family. We're putting our lives on hold and taking a trip around the world. This just might be our wildest idea yet.
Well, joining us now from Ethiopia are doctors Rose and Rob Meter. So why did you decide to set out on this big adventure?
I know so many families and parents who say you blink and you miss your kids' growing up years. They are grown and gone. Our kids, when we left home, were 5, 6, 8, and 9. And we have spent a fair amount of time with our kids, but our motivation for picking up and leaving home for 4 months was so we could really hit the pause button on this stage in our family and just live 4 months, January through May 2015, that our family will never forget.
Rob, where have you been so far?
We went on a westerly direction on purpose so that we wouldn't have the jet lag issues. And Rose said at the beginning, when we planned this, I want no flight to be longer than 5 hours. So that was sort of our guidelines as to how we plan our trip. So we went to Guatemala, first of all, then via LA to Maui, spent some time there with friends, then down to Tahiti, and from Tahiti across to New Zealand, crossed the date line, which screwed us up a little bit with our car rental because they thought we were coming a day before. We miscued that. Anyways, and then on to Australia after that. And kind of trained our way across Australia and then up to Bali, Indonesia, and from there to Vietnam, and to sort of get that Southeast Asia awesome experience in there, which is totally unique and different for us. And then the big long flight from there to Addis Ababa. That was our longest flight, and we've been here now for our longest stint, which has been almost a month now that we've been here.
So what surprises have you had with the kids on this amazing pause button trip?
I think just sitting in a car and driving places has been a different experience than we anticipated. I thought the kids would be looking out the window going like, wow, Dad, look at that mountain, look at this. But, that lasts for about 10 minutes.
So here's the example. We're in southern Australia. We have planned to travel the Great Ocean Road. I mean, it's world-renowned, for its beauty and amazing views and stunning rock cliff edges and the open ocean. And so Rob and I are so anticipating, like, this is the day we're going to travel the Great Ocean Road. And honestly, the complaints from the back seat were just a bit too much. And we...
To the point where we said, this is for us, just the 2 of us.
It is.
We're going to go out to all these viewpoints and take pictures of just us, and the kids can just sit in the car and wait.
Yeah,
so...
that was the day Rob and I did selfies, from beside the road and just overlooking the ocean, and the kids were in the back seat.
Okay, so somewhere, Rose, there must have been wide-eyed wonder on the trip.
Okay, so this is a reality check because our kids, probably like any other kids, they live in the moment. So in the moment when we're experiencing that, it's amazing. And we talk about it and it's so cool. And we've gone dolphin watching and elephant riding and we've seen kangaroos. And I think it's the wildlife experiences, seeing that up close. And for the first time, the whales, the first time we saw whales in Maui, and the hippos and the crocodiles. So in that moment, they are all like, can you believe it? Look, let's take a picture. That's awesome. But just like any other kid, the next moment might be something just completely different. Like it's a long boat ride back to shore, or it's a whole day without really experiencing anything new or different. And you'd think, okay, maybe the memory and the excitement of yesterday or of the previous hour or the previous 5 minutes would kind of linger and dissipate the complaining about I'm hungry for lunch, or why don't we get out of the sun now, or Jacob's sitting on my seat. The complaining, it still rises to the surface despite having all of these amazing experiences.
Yeah. But they do seem to be taking it in a really unique way that I think only kids can, and it does bubble to the surface a lot where they want to talk about it, and the good things and the challenging things. You know, I took our eldest daughter just into the hospital with me just to see a few patients that I had to see that afternoon. I thought, come on with me, and I think it really struck her to see, a child who literally was dying. And to see the state of, the hospital here, which is so different from any hospital in Canada, United States. So, I think that really touched her in an emotional way, and came up again at supper time and bedtime that day. So, and I don't want to shield our kids from those experiences. I think those are valuable life experiences that I hope will impact her in the future.
So we also had a chance to take our kids to a local orphanage, and the kids met some babies. It was a very small room filled with 20 1- and 2-year-olds, and they had all come to the orphanage various ways. But even just that morning, and our kids heard the story because the orphanage worker was discussing how she had walked out the front door and found a newborn in a box, a newborn in a paper box, and the kids heard that, and this baby had been abandoned and just newly born, and the kids, you could tell, like it was sinking in. And later on, Mary Grace just cried and cried. At the supper table, she just cried, and she said, how is that baby going to get a mom?
And there's no great answer for those questions either, because we don't know. It's a sad reality here that happens. So
our kids are being impacted by those experiences in ways that if we told that story at home, they wouldn't be impacted exactly that way.
Well, how is practicing medicine in Ethiopia different than your work of practicing medicine back here in Canada? You've got such a different look at those two different fields of practice.
When I got here, I had 4 deaths in 4 days. I mean, back home in Aurelia, I had 2 patient deaths in 11 years that were sort of unexpected. Here it was like 1 per day. And I know today is going to be another bad day. I had 1 patient die this morning with I don't know what they died of. That's so heart-wrenching when you actually don't even know what they're dying of. You're treating them for everything you can. Mm-hmm. And I think there's another girl that's probably going to die tonight. I don't know how to help her. So,
but on the flip side, when the stories are amazing and successful, they're borderline miraculous, right?
Well, you are working in a clinic caring for mothers and children who come in with urgent medical conditions. What have you seen?
I feel that people here do suffer really with this lack of resources that they have here, and coming to the hospital and seeing, the hospital ward is probably more comfortable than their homes, and yet I walk in and it smells. It is dirtier definitely than home. It's
occasionally lacks water. And
then I walk in, and yesterday I had my whole ward was sick, and they pray with the patients here, and that's something that at home is much more difficult to do. Here, we just say, "Can we pray?" And I stood at the door, and I said, "Can I just pray for everybody here?" And I did that, and they all fell on their knees, all the parents, onto this dirty floor, and stretched out their arms, and I prayed, and it's like that is a scene I'll never forget as I prayed for my patients, and I knew some of them were going to die, and I prayed for their hearts, and I prayed for their parents and to give them comfort.
How would you say this trip is moving you outside your comfort zone and stretching your faith with what you've been seeing?
So I think first about the phrase trusting God. I look back over the months that we've already been away from home, and sometimes it's with, struggling with my parenting, just struggling with the lack of structure and routine and the familiarity and the comforts of home, and just knowing that I can't fix it. I can't micromanage all the kids' needs. So in my very quiet moments, praying and reflecting, when I do hear God's voice say, trust me for what you don't have, trust me for what you don't know, I've actually seen him come through. And I wouldn't have learned that at home, not these 4 months, not trusting exactly in this way. I still feel like I'm trusting. We're not yet home. But I've been learning to trust God on this trip like I haven't had to before. Not as a mom. I haven't had to trust God in this way with my mothering like I have this time.
Well, we are talking about Mother's Day. Tell us how your mothers have shaped who you are today.
So my mom had a fierce loyalty to family. That comes to the top of my mind when you ask that question. And so I think that spurred in me even this idea of let's, concentrate some family time and really bond and spend some quality time in the kids' formative years. So that's my mom definitely having an influence on me. And the fact that my mom is a very social creature. If you met her, she would invite you over for dinner and you would come and you would have a great dinner.
First of all, my parents have always been very much into doing things as a family, and we still as a family get together multiple times a year and do things together as a family. And I have memories growing up and traveling around Europe, where I was born and raised for 9 years, and just seeing exotic places with my family. And I think that love of traveling has come from them, and I think that's genetic. I think that comes straight from my mom and dad. So.
We inherited some good things. We love our moms. That's a shout out to our moms. We love our moms.
Go mom.
Okay, Rose and Rob Meter, our fans have been following you on our blog site, but here it was great to have you there traveling with your 4 kids, doing medical work in Soto, Ethiopia. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's a privilege really to share our story. We really appreciate that.
So we have Rose Meter's mom here, Mary. Mary, we can't resist giving advice as moms. Have you anything to say to that outstanding daughter of yours?
My advice always has been to put God first and family second, and the rest will take care of itself. And that comes from experience with my 3 daughters and now 10 grandchildren. Yes, putting God first, and the rest does take care of itself.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mary. Yeah. Well, nearly 1,000 women die every day from complications in pregnancy and childbirth. And next, meet the Canadian doctor and maternal health expert who's changing those numbers in East Africa. We love connecting with you through our free draw for the author's books that we feature. So go to our website, contextwithlorna.com, and click on Lorna's books for your chance to win a copy of my favorite Anne Rice book, Christ the Lord, Out of Egypt. If you are a fan of Anne Rice's vampire books, you will love what she's done with the early life of Jesus. Go to our website, contextwithlorna.com, for your chance to win a free copy. Good luck.
This segment is brought to you by Bruce Etherington and Associates, Family Harmony and Philanthropy, helping you help others.
Earlier, I sat down with Order of Canada recipient Dr. Jean Chamberlain Froese to discuss her pioneering work with Save the Mothers. Mothers are dying needlessly. That realization led our next guest to dedicate her life as a doctor to saving the lives of mothers and children in the developing world. Dr. Jean Chamberlain Froese is the founder of Save the Mothers. She's an expert in international maternal health and has authored Where Have All the Mothers Gone? And I'm so glad Dr. Jean can join us here at Context. Welcome, Dr. Jean Chamberlain. How are you? Great to have you here. Thank you. Wow. You have had such a distinguished career in this already, and it feels like you're just getting going on educating on the experience of childbirth. It is not the joyful experience in the developing world as we know it. Here, where we sit as moms, tell us what you've seen in Uganda.
Well, you're right. It isn't the same. And I've been all over the world and live in Uganda now 8 months of the year with my family. And, I just think of a woman by the name of Helen and going in to see her in the labor and delivery. And she needed a cesarean section. She'd been in labor for several days and just wasn't going to deliver the baby. Of course, we always hope that mothers are going to deliver safely, naturally, but sometimes they can't. And, she didn't have enough money to actually pay for the medication that she was going to need for a cesarean section. And I was there visiting the hospital that day, and of course, as an obstetrician gynecologist, I reached into my pocket to make sure she got the care that she needed. But just thinking about Helen and what would have happened to her if she didn't have that money, if she didn't have that care that she needed. I think about mothers that have died out in the village before. I've gone to a funeral of a mother that died. And Lord, I remember seeing the casket being raised up over the men's head as they took her away, and talking to the family and finding out what happened to that mother. She had died on the way to the hospital, been kept too long in the home, and she just wasn't able to get there soon enough. So what we just take for granted here in North America, dial 911 and the ambulance is going to come and take you to the hospital. For many women in the developing world, that is not the reality. There is no ambulance there. In fact, the hospital is so far away, or they just aren't able to get the care that they need in time.
Well, let's just read some of those statistics up that you have discovered through the course of your career. Over 800 women die every day of preventable causes related to pregnancy and maternal health issues. More than half of these deaths occur in places like Uganda in Africa, where you work. Help us understand how the risk happens.
Well, we talk about 3 delays that lead to mothers dying. The first delay is the decision to seek care. In other words, you need to know that you have a problem and you need to go and get care. So a mother is at home, she's laboring alone, her husband is off fishing or doing something else. She's waiting for his permission in order to go to the hospital. She doesn't have any money, she doesn't have $5 in her pocket to even get on the bus or whatever it is to get there. So that first delay, recognizing that there's a problem and then getting the permission and the money to go. The second delay is the transportation. Most women walk on foot wherever they go, and so they don't have that transportation. They don't hop into their vehicle, hop on the back of a motorcycle in order to get to the healthcare facility. And then the final delay is actually at the healthcare facility, and that is where when a woman arrives, there's no medication available. Sometimes there's no blood available when a woman needs to have a blood transfusion because she's bleeding so much. Maybe there's no health worker even there. So those are the 3 delays, and it's usually a combination of those 3 delays that lead to a mother dying of a pregnancy complication.
I think we can get our head around our North American difference between the first 2, but let's just talk about that delay number 3 on what it's like at the hospital. You also practice at McMaster University 4 months of the year. Tell us the difference that you see in Uganda and in some of the outposts where you've been.
A lot of times here in Canada, North America, we think, do I have a private room, semi-private room, am I going to have my own bathroom, et cetera. It was just recently World Toilet Day. It sounds like a funny thing to talk about, but you know what? On the whole entire ward of a hospital where I visit, there's 3,800 women delivering at that hospital, and there's not one single functioning toilet in that entire place.
For 3,800
people deliveries a year, and there was no running water at that hospital, if you can imagine, until our program brought in running water through another NGO. So I'm talking about a mother delivering in a safe and dignified way so that she has a health worker to care for her. I'm talking about having privacy so there's not 8 of us all delivering in one room together with no privacy. I'm talking about having access to water so that you can wash your hands after you use the toilet, and then you go and breastfeed your baby. You can imagine how infection starts even at the level of the hospitals. But people's reference point, Lorna, is so different. Here in Canada, we're used to the cold at times during the winter time, and we just deal with it, right? And we've coped with it. If you put my Ugandan friends here, they would just absolutely perish. It was minus 25 degrees because they're just not used to it. And so their reference point is so different. For them, the reference point is the hospital. Well, you come with your own medications, you come with your own money, and you hope that you come out alive.
Well, let's talk about reference points, because this began for you in quite an interesting way. I mean, and here you are a commuting mother with 3 little kids of your own. You've adopted a Ugandan, and you go 8 months of the year to Uganda, 4 months of the year here. How did this begin for you?
Well, it began when I was a little girl, actually, about 7 or 8 years of age. I grew up in a Christian home here in Toronto, and you know, I just really always wanted to be a missionary doctor somewhere, and I thought I'd be working at a mission hospital kind of in the middle of nowhere. But after my many experiences at numerous countries and numerous places, I realized, you know, it's a systems issue. And yes, I can stand in Uganda and deliver 1,000 babies, and I can tell you there's no obstetrician in this entire country that delivers 1,000 babies. It'd be that busy, and you're dropping just a drop in the big bucket, because there's, you know, 1.2 million pregnancies in Uganda every single year, let alone all of East Africa. So I really looked at the issue with my colleagues. I had already developed good relationships with some Ugandan friends of mine, and we were like, how do we impact the culture so that women are valued, so that that woman in the village does not stay at home and bleed to death? In the 21st century, for a mother to bleed to death in her hut, because nobody had $5 to make sure that she got to. So again, as a doctor, I can't impact that, but we can bring about a change in the way people view women, and that's really why we started, say, the Mothers Program.
So it's really like a leadership training program, and you've had hundreds go through the program to make a culture shift.
That's right,
in Uganda.
A new reference point for mothers, exactly.
I want to talk about another reference point. This is quite a challenge, I would think, as a mom of 3 kids under 15. Tell me how your faith motivates the stress of living on 2 continents and juggling the sorrow, the loss, the stress, all of that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting when you live in sub-Saharan Africa, you are daily just reminded of how close life and death are. And that's one thing I've really learned from the Ugandans is just the joy of living life today, understanding that none of us can be guaranteed of life. You know, at Sunday school on Sunday morning, the children, and I'm talking about these young children, will say that they're thankful for being alive. Somebody asks them, what are you thankful for? And you know, we would sort of, they say, I thank God I'm alive. That is their comment. I remember the first time hearing that, thinking, oh my goodness, for a child to think, I thank God I'm alive, but yet they understand how close life and death are. And so I think, you know, as a Christian living in that context, that's really helped me to also be thankful for that I'm alive, and what can I be doing to help others to also stay alive. And I think the other thing that's really struck me is, you know, the world is not going to be perfect. The world is not going to be equitable. For that woman in East Africa, myself and my colleagues, we can work as long and hard as we want, but you know what, 20 years from now, it's still going to be inequitable.
That's the sin problem.
Exactly.
It's a systemic.
But that's where my hope in God is, that, you know what, regardless, even if that woman in Africa doesn't have as full as a materialistic life as I have, she has a fullness in her spirit as one who loves and follows Christ. And so I think that, to me, is where the playing ground becomes equal, is that joy of life and that just that purpose of living. And I think a lot of times my friends there in East Africa remind me of the real purpose of living.
That was Dr. Jean Chamberlain Froese, founder of Save the Mothers, member of the Order of Canada, outstanding Canadian. Coming up, my final thoughts on the spiritual importance of mothers.
I'm Rose Meter. I'm a mom, a wife, and an ER doctor in rural Canada. This year, my husband Rob and I have decided to take our 4 kids on a trip around the world. We have no idea what lies ahead. I'll be updating our journey on the Context with Lorna Dueck website with blog posts and videos about our triumphs and trials and adventures. Won't you join us?
Here at Context, we love to hear from you, our viewers at home. Recently, David wrote, "Your show is ridiculous. Hopefully no tax dollars are funding this garbage." Well, David, you'll be happy to know that our show is entirely funded by our viewers, and we'd like to take this opportunity to say how much we appreciate your donations to help us share Christian stories. Thank you for helping us make television we can all be proud of. Well, everyone except for David. Coming soon on Context, why robots are moving closer to real life than you may have thought. Will it affect the spiritual view of life? That's coming soon on Context. For all the moms in the audience, we have a very special surprise. Pandora Jewelry Canada has generously donated a gift celebrating their new campaign, The Art of You, which celebrates women and all their uniqueness all year long. And these were designed for women to show the art of who they are through jewelry, and through each mother gets to go home with a piece today who are in our audience. So you want to be in the audience here. You can go to the Context website to find out more about this and other great Pandora products. A great gift for any mother or woman worth celebrating in your life. Happy Mother's Day. And we're going to save one of those for a very special new mom at your house, Sheldon.
Yes, extra points for the husband. Yes.
Okay, because everybody at home doesn't know this. Tell us the big news.
That's right. Just not long ago, I became a dad, and my lovely wife became a mom. We gave birth to our beautiful daughter, Reagan Sojourny, and we're excited about this new chapter, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So keep me in your prayers. Thank you, Lorna. And now we have a Mother's Day question for you, all the mothers watching. Today is a day traditionally where we give gifts to mom and say thanks and I love you. But what was the best gift your mother ever gave to you? Let us know your thoughts on that. Contact us by any of the means you see on the screen. Call us at 1-800-215-4913. Write to us as well at email, comments at contextwithlorna.com, and find us on Facebook and Twitter at Context TV.
Well, you don't need to travel around the world to be a great mom, but you do need to go the distance on a very important journey, and that is the long road to soul care. I only had 2 children, but the absolute selflessness it required brought me to my knees. And maybe some moms can get by without that, but I know I couldn't be a good mom without putting my life with Jesus first. I've done a lot of exciting things since our 2 kids were born, but nothing compares with the fun and satisfaction it was to shape 2 little people and love and care for them completely. And the time went by so fast. I've got this very empty nest now, but my relationship with Jesus still defines who I am, and it is the guide through the changing seasons of my life. The most important gift in a mother's skill set is her life with God. And we've got some good mom blogs up on our website this week and some nice treats for mothers to win online. So check us out at the website, Facebook, and Twitter. For all of us, I'm Lorna Duick. Thanks for watching, and join us next week as we explore life beyond the headlines.